So, I've spent the last 18 years of my life in big, nasty, ugly projects. So I've had a couple of clients. More than one client says that I was the only consultant that didn't run away. So as Robert was saying, I'm an original gangster in the intelligent content world. And back then, it was banks, medical devices, pharmaceuticals, military, aerospace and defense. Those are the companies that were first moving to this kind of methodology because they had many audiences, many products, many channels, multiple formats, personalization, and scale and translation problems 25 years ago. So a lot of the things that are now becoming mass market demand were coming out of that market. Today what we're seeing, top priorities for marketers, content and experience management, analytics, audience and data management, omni-channel marketing, and personalization, which I think the bottom 4 of those all feed up into the top 1. So this makes a lot of sense. And I can also see why they're upset about it, because when I go into clients, what I'm seeing is this. We've got multiple smart leadership people who are running their divisions, business units, teams, et cetera, who have their brilliant ideas, which they present to their teams or to their managers to get their budget, they get their buy-in, and sometimes, maybe, if you're lucky, they'll talk to each other a little bit, but then they go to market through digital channels. So social teams go to work, content marketers go to work. We're seeing many examples of other speakers where content marketing creates a piece, then they throw it over the wall to social for amplification. SEO comes in afterwards and does a little bit of massaging so somebody actually finds it, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully the result is eyeballs. We talked about vanity metrics, which is one of my favorite terms. Vanity metrics where we're very excited because someone saw what we did. It's just this kind of exhibitionism to go, you looked at me, I'm so happy. But turns out you can't take likes or clicks or impressions and put a down payment on a house with that. It has no actual business value. So we celebrate our vanity metrics. If you're the agency, this is when you've done your job, because it's a cash for eyeballs exchange. You gave me money, I gave you traffic, you can leave. And then this nasty time stuff goes by. And then when we're measuring all this, we find out it's not performing as we really wanted it to. Because the poor person at the end of all this was not looking for this spread out, disjointed, multi-channel engagement. They were looking to get something that was a relationship with a brand. So when I come in and talk to organizations, and I talk about taxonomy, content models, content structures, standards, I'm often considered to be king of the robots. Like, I'm coming in to kill your ability to create and strangle you all with standards and governance and all those awful things. But actually, our mission at Urbina Consulting is to help organizations have the kind of relationships with people that people have with each other. So right now, an organization is, generally speaking, a pretty fragmented, schizophrenic, amnesiac thing. We'll have an interaction, then you're going to go on another channel. I don't remember who you are. I'm going to pass you between two people on a single phone call, and I'm going to ask who you are again, check your security clearance again, ask you what products you have, all sorts of different questions that you wouldn't expect somebody who actually has any kind of relationship with you to ask. It was simple back in the physical world. You walked into the store, they would recognize you. If you'd never seen them before, they would already size you up by your age, your dress, all sorts of other demographic things that would adjust how they would speak to you, they would adjust their tone, and that relationship would build. We've lost that. So I think a lot of the things that we're trying to do with this event and with these methodologies is go back to making it simple again, being able to build relationships. So how can we maximize scalability and automation without sacrificing creativity? How can we build those relationships, use the technology available, but make it all come together in a human way? So my metaphor for this is Lego versus clay. I did a little survey before the conference about who played more with Lego versus clay growing up and who gets Lego versus clay more for their kids, and clay won. Which something's going on there because Lego is currently the biggest toy in the world. They're the biggest toy company and they're the best-selling toy product. So people have a fondness for clay, which I think they're not admitting. But let's look at the qualities of these two things. Clay, totally free form and unrestricted. Total creative freedom. Also kind of messy. Set up, take down, not very easy. Hard to reuse or single use. If you put it together, it's hard to get it apart, and if you bake it, that's it. Hard to collaborate. If you can imagine two people trying to collaborate on a clay pot, like if I was doing one bit and you were doing another, to get those to really fit together, we'd have to be pretty bloody expert at working with clay. Slow to experiment. There's a lot of hand mushing and touching and adjusting to get clay to be what we want it to be. Lego, on the other hand, standardized, semi-structured. Vast number of combinations, but not infinite. You can't do whatever you want, but you can do a hell of a lot. Infinitely reusable. You can hand Lego down to your kids and to your grandkids. The stuff will never die. Easy to experiment, mix, match, and collaborate. You can make the barn, I can make the car, we can stick them together later, we can put the spaceship on top, it's all good. Brutal on the feet, oh my god. It's like glass and knives had a child. So if anyone is hating on Lego, I just want to say that one of the reasons they became the biggest toy in the world is because they finally started targeting girls properly. At first by pandering to gender stereotypes, and then by getting their shit together and actually building some proper Lego toys for girls. A mathematician worked out that 6 8-studded bricks of the same color of Lego could be combined nearly 1 billion ways. It took him 2 hours to figure that out. It took him a day to figure out something for 16, and if you're talking any more than that, or if you introduce color, he just didn't even want to bother. And that article, by the way, if you check out the link, that's an awesome article on the history and the story behind Lego. So, is our content like clay, or is it like Lego? I'm bringing this up here. This is some CMI research. It's just an example. In which stage of the buyer's journey is each content type most effective? And we've got the content types: blog post articles, case studies, ebooks, in-person events, et cetera, et cetera. So what I want to bring your attention to is this word content type. Because I spend a lot of my work defining what is and what isn't a content type, where they should be used and what they mean. Excuse me. Okay, so this is from one of my banking clients in Europe. This is a major bank in Europe and has a little bit of presence in North America. Typical content marketing piece. It's an article, family holiday tips. The way that this content type breaks down is very simple. You've got your intro bit, you've got your body where stuff goes in there, and then you've got related other pots of stuff, which looks a lot like our clay pot. We got our pretty lid, stuff goes here, and then you don't like that one, you can try some other ones. It very much works like the product sale that we would expect on Amazon.com. You want this one, or maybe you would like those. I sound like I'm contradicting the presentation that just came before me, but I'm totally not. So when I say products, and I make this comparison, this kind of products, yes, content can be like these kind of products. They have iterations, they have versions, they get better with time, they have user requirements. Stuff you sell on an Etsy store, stuff that's made out of like knitted stuff, no. So I want to look at what happens when we take the clay pot approach as opposed to the sophisticated product approach. So this is another article on the same website. This is the same article. So this is the family holiday tips. And then we have a different article on the journal part of the website. And it is the summer holiday guide, 7 useful tips for stress-free holiday. The first tip is every member of the family needs their own European health card. That would have been a really great tip to put on the family guide. It's not on there. And the whole rest of this 7 useful tips is not about families. This bank came to me and said, we're doing a really big push on millennials. We want to target young people. We want to get them in, build a relationship with them when they're students and so on. And so this is one of their pieces. Several things are going on here. First of all, good tip for families, not there for the families. If you did read the family holiday guide and there was a related item at the bottom that said 7 useful tips, would you click through? You just read the family guide. You wouldn't. You'd move on. So this often happens when we treat every article as its own monolithic piece, done by hand, lovingly looked at by many, many people within a creative department, and then we put up on the site. And it stays there, and hopefully we link to it. It gets worse. We've got another article, Managing Money Abroad. And an FAQ, which cash machines can I use abroad? Similar problem. In the Managing Money Abroad, it says charges may apply when you're using a cash machine. In the cash machine article, it actually says exactly when charges apply and how you can know what charges you're going to get. No link from one to the other. No awareness within the organization that the other one even existed. If they were lucky, the system might automatically relate one to the other, but it didn't in actual fact. Because the related links in theirs weren't driven automatically, they were hand-attached. They would say, I want to associate with this article. So there was no automation of, like, you might also like on Amazon. Everything was being hand-massaged to be what it was, a static single deliverable like our clay pot. So the problem here is what we consider to be a content type. What is a content type? What is the piece? What are we making? If we move more towards the Lego model where we have reconfigurable, standards-based, reusable bits, this same article could be considered to be have a content type at the top, which is just the overview. That is a single content type. Then there's a best practice. Here's some tips on doing something. Then there's another content type, reference facts. There's a table of charges or lookup fees or things you might need to know, and so on and so on. And then at the bottom, we could have related articles, which would be other assemblies of bits, or we could let the machine put them together for us. If they're tagged as family and travel, put them together under the family travel tips. If they're tagged with travel but not family, direct those at the millennials, and so on and so on. So this approach brings our content the qualities of Lego. One person wants a car, the other one wants an ambulance, then wants a helicopter. But we can reuse the same atomic units to do that. So that gives us the ability to personalize. If we do it right, which I'll talk about in a second, you can deliver those on multiple channels. There's no reason that the words inside here are any less creative. There's no reason that you should write worse because I've asked you to label your blocks and put a little bit of metadata on them. If you do, then we have the ability to do programmatic content marketing, as we were just talking about before the break. And we have this product quality. We can iterate. Each little bit gets more attention. Instead of create, publish, watch, we create, publish, we reuse, we go back, we review, we improve. There's no reason that a single Lego block can't be come back to a year later and we improve it, and then all the articles that it appears in get better. So when I'm going into an organization, we're building a model, we're defining multiple content types, and we're getting very little sometimes. So there's media assets, key features list, taglines, calls to action, short descriptions, testimonials. All of these are content types, much smaller, and they can be used to build big content types, articles and so on. So they're designed around customer needs and journeys, like a product, as we were just discussing. Each component content type has associated guidelines for copy, metadata, structure, and processing, which is where you get the intelligence. The content has intelligence embedded in it now. And that consistency, by having a standard, by being written in that way, that's what makes them adaptable, reusable, and automation ready for give you your personalization and your omnichannel output.